Ooh, went to a Final Four when I was there too. Won a couple of national championships in other sports. It was about graduating and all those other things that are most important to me. So I'm here to tell you, I'm proof that you can do what you want to do. And I had a lot of people tell me, don't get out of the finance world. When I went to event management, they're like, you are doomed. You are on track to be a senior associate AD. You are on track to be an AD. You'll never do. I had people tell me, you'll never get it done. Geez, you're doing the internal route, you're African American. I'm just being honest. The odds are against you. You just diminish your odds. Now, I got a lot of faith. I don't know where you stand. But God controls that for me. I'll put God against anybody. If it's His will, it will be done if you stay obedient. I'm just being honest. That's how I feel. Okay? Now, there were some times I was like wavering. Like, oh boy, maybe they were right. I might not get there. That's the human nature of it. But he said to Pat. Will Smith says this great thing. Okay, we all know Will Smith. You know, he's a man. He is unbelievable. If you ever get a chance to listen to his motivational or see him talk. But I also think it's true to this. If you stay ready, he always says this, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Meaning, everything that you're doing is you're in preparation. You do it to be ready for the opportunity. So you're not wavering. I didn't waver to go to Utah. I was like, I'm gone. I didn't waver to go to, I'm doing it. BC, that all happened in 48 hours. I was like, I didn't think, well, I'm associate AD now. No, I was ready to take opportunity and take risk. Because risk catapults you. You're afraid. If you're afraid, you're here. High risk, high reward. Once again, you control that. Not your friend, not your colleague, you do. And boom, bam, I'm gone. Am I ready to be an AD? I've been preparing, getting ready. Everything that I do with my staff, all the things that I've done to this part of my life is preparation. Everything you do will be preparation. You will use it. I'm glad I sold cars. I know how to get people to yes. I can go out and sell somebody a Honda right now. 11 points of Honda. What they call it? Get them to yes. Get them to yes. You like this color? Yes. Isn't this a nice car? Yes, it is. Isn't it roomy? Yes. But that's what relationships are too. So everything that you do, but you have to experience things to do things to be prepared for opportunity. It gets back to, you're not sitting back waiting for somebody to bring me along. You can do that. If you want to be competitive, you got to produce your own options. So it's an exciting time at Kennesaw. And I believe in sport management majors. I still go back and talk at UMass. I love that place. The law professor who was there at the time, sport law professor, is now the head of the department. I learned a lot, and the connection we had, the network is important. I call on people, we're all over the place. So I went from a time that I was like, wow, I don't know you, man. Now it's, let me call this person, let me call this person, let me call this person. And I'm glad that I was okay with them 20 years ago. Because some of these people, if I wasn't, they would have helped me get where I am today. Because the biggest thing is, I didn't get here alone. You need people to do it. And so people say, I do it on my own, I'm going to do it. Especially in college athletics. You're going to need somebody. You're going to need help. The more people that help you, the more you're going to be able to take advantage of things. I haven't met anybody. All the great ADs, all the great coaches who haven't had somebody help them. In the real world, maybe so. In this world, a little bit different. It is a small circle. Believe me, I'm trying to hire a basketball coach right now. I got 10 calls on the way up here. And I'm trying to say, I know this person doesn't have my number. How did you get my number? I'm telling you, all the great basketball coaches in this country are calling me to recommend somebody. How did they get my cell phone number? Do they know somebody? They know somebody. They know somebody. I'm being honest with you. Now, I'm going to keep those numbers because I might need to play them in basketball. Guarantee games, that's important, right? But what I'm saying is that is keeping it real, folks. That's what it is. That's a great profession. I haven't worked one day since I got in this thing. I tell my kids I'm going to playtime. I'm out 7 days a week. 7 days a week, night, day. You gotta have passion. Dude, when I was young, Boston College, we worked 7 days a week for 4 or 5 months. I'm being honest. We had 34 sports. I had Big East football on Saturday. Friday I got soccer. Big East football on Saturday. That takes the whole daggone day. Start at 3 a.m., finish around 12 midnight. Then I got maybe 2 games, a doubleheader on Sunday. And you know what? Back on Monday, I'm back in the office. We got to serve. So it's about your brand and about how you attack it. It's about what you make of it. But I'm here to tell you it can be done. And it's a fun profession. I love every day. I love my kids grow up in this thing. It's neat. I get to watch young people come across that stage. Doesn't matter if they're student athletes or not. I've only missed one graduation since I started college athletics. I think it's the most important day. I learned that from the beginning. I love seeing people graduate and start the next process of getting their dreams. But I tell you, what are you passionate about? And what are you going to do? What are you going to do to get that passion? What are you going to do? Are you going to do 3 internships? Are you going to do 5? I know people that have been in the real world came back. I know people that have done 7 internships before they got their first job. Once again, I got a lot of friends that are making a lot of money, but I'm doing okay. But I tell you, all those friends want to be around me at the right time. Hey, can you give me Final Four tickets? Oh, you got to win a championship. How you go to that game? How you connected to the Hawks? How you connected to it? All relationships. Man, you get to watch sports all day? That's a part of it. There's much more to my job, and I think all of you know that. There's much more to my job. There's around 15 more elements that I have. 11 more elements than a normal CEO. A normal CEO might have their board, their supporters, their customers, the people that work for them, and that's it. That's around 4 or 5. That's a normal CEO down the street. What do I have? Okay, I've got alumni. I've got donors. I got corporate sponsors. I got parents. I got student athletes. I got the president. I got faculty. I got staff. I got media. And now I got social media. I got it all. All these things I have to balance. That's why they say it's one of the toughest jobs you could do on a college campus. Besides the president, I'm worried about a lot of facets. My life expectancy is around 5 to 7 years at an institution. That's what they say. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So that's what I leave today. I hope maybe you partake, and I'll obviously love to hear any questions you might have, but follow your passion. What are you going to do? Get ready. And this is the real world, folks. It's competitive out there. It's the best time it's ever been for minorities in college athletics. I mean, women and people of color. But it's still a long way to go. Yes, sir.
What do you consider the toughest challenge facing Division I schools at this point. You know, whether it be paying student athletes at this, you know, the level of the Big Five, or is it the challenge of facing that discrepancy for other schools? Or are there other things? You mentioned finances. How, you know, what are some of the biggest struggles that you face as a position, as a school, that maybe is global as opposed to just maybe specific to Kennesaw State?
Well, I think, and I serve on the Division I Council. There's 40 people on it that were selected in the country to serve on this new structure for legislation in America. And I happen to be, luckily, one of those 40 people heading Indianapolis. I've already been there heading Indianapolis. Division I's going through a transition. It's one of those times in our history in Division I that it's really interesting. It's interesting, the perception of the public and the realities behind the scenes. And I think it starts with finances. And I think that's one piece. And I think the other piece starts with the commercialism of student athletes. And I think that's another separate piece, but it is two in the same. And I say this because Tennessee and Georgia and Kennesaw State are way different. They're way different. They have resources to do things that we will never have, at least in this time. And that's okay. That's okay. Not everybody can go to Tennessee and Georgia. They have to go to other schools for opportunities, right? So it's about how we deal with taking care of that student athlete that enters that college. And that can mean we already do tutorings and all that kind of stuff that assists them. But I think there's one thought out there beyond the Pell Grant is to assist them in a cost of attendance manner. And that's what you're hearing. Every institution, West Georgia, has a cost of attendance to come to school here. And so what happens, the scholarship that you give in an athletic end doesn't meet that full cost of attendance. So what do you do for the laundry and so on and so forth and the gas money and all this kind of stuff if you're on a full ride? And most people, we're still debating the same things we debated 100 years ago in college athletics. Okay? So 60 years ago, 70 years ago, there was gas money. There was that stuff. You do your history, it was that. Student athletes that were in the 1950s, that's what was going on. So there is some what can be done that is in fairness to have the student athlete be able to live. And I mean, I was a former student athlete. My parents didn't give me any money. My parents are divorced, both remarried 2 times. I worked in the summer and tried to make that money last too. So if somebody was going to the movies, that wasn't me. I wasn't going to the movies. You know, somebody was doing their laundry. You know, I just had to make sure I had my girlfriend and she had a laundry facility that I could use and do my own clothes. I'm just being honest. You survive, right? So there's that thought about what is that cost of attendance that can close that gap. But then, of course, there is a disillusion with all Division I schools that Kennesaw State can be Tennessee. They're already doing things different. And that's where we are in Division I. We've got to be, at Kennesaw State, our philosophy is, hey, they can afford the steaks and the lobster that they're recruiting. We can't do that. That's okay. We have to know who we are and be who we are. And that's why you're seeing this split, because there's millions of dollars on the table that student athletes feel, okay, I know I'm getting an education, but wouldn't it be, you know, can I at least go to the movie? If I'm not Pell Grant recipient and I don't have any money and you're telling me I have to train in the summer and go to school, I don't have any time to do anything. How can I work when I got to train and take classes all the time? Isn't this okay? So we are in a big transition, but finance is a big thing. And I think the second part, obviously, is a legislation to create an environment in Division I that keeps all the championships together and that creates an environment that we don't have lower Division I at Kennesaw State kid, like a Max Pentecost, who was our catcher last year. That was the 11th pick in the draft. We need to make sure that Max Pentecost, when he's a junior or a sophomore, that because of the rules, that Georgia can't say, hey, Max, we can give you a better scholarship now. Why don't you come play for us? We don't want to get into that. So I think a lot of it's the legislation, I think a lot of it's finances. But I do believe, like in any business, and this is what's wrong with college athletics to a certain degree, each campus has to make a commitment to whatever they do on their campus. And if they can afford to do those things, they do them. That's proper business practice. But what we have in athletics, because of the branding, because of all of you raising your hands saying you watch the championship game, that athletics, big time athletics, has so much of an influence that people want that brand out there. Obviously, no one would ever heard of Boise State if they didn't beat Oklahoma a couple years ago. You'd be like, what? Wichita, what? ECU? Athletics has a place, but I think every school has to really, excuse my expression, do the right thing on their business plan to make sure they know what they can do and they can afford. And that goes with anything on a campus. If you don't build buildings, you can't afford it. You don't offer this program, you can't afford it. So I do believe it's a time for the leadership of these institutions to step up and say, I'm Kennesaw State, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna pay my coach, this is how we're gonna run our program, and we're gonna impact lives that way. But that's not what people think. Charlotte gotta keep up with the Joneses.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
What's like the biggest struggle to get the Kennesaw football program off the ground?
Well, the first biggest struggle was finding the seed money to get it started. I had 8 months to find $5 million. Yeah, it was a very stressful time. But I think the thing was, I never came to Kennesaw State because they were starting football. I came because I thought, man, it's a great location. You can win. You could be successful there. It's a great community. That's why I came. Now, football became a reality. I got down and me and Coach Dooley, sat down. I was looking through the report and I was going, okay, we might be able to do this. Community really, okay. It's like I'm from New Jersey, okay? And we love our high school football, but nothing like down here. You know what I mean? So after 3 months of watching high school football on Friday nights, I was going, it's a little bit different here. This is really what people say it is. And so the biggest charge is we had to find $5 million. We only had 20 donors when I started. We only had $125,000 in corporate sponsorship. We had not done anything on the revenue side, so I really didn't have many prospects. The students had voted. They had said, okay, we'll do a fee. Okay, that'll work. Obviously, we had to get through the Board of Regents, but the $5 million, I remember sitting in a room, and we had 20 people from the university, and they went, okay, but we're gonna have to find $5 million, and no one was raising their hands, because everybody was like, the other things that the university needs, and people were already out prospecting different things. We're a growing institution. So we got a lead, and I'll be honest, at one point I just thought, I believe, I have strong faith that, hey, if this is gonna happen, he's gonna make it happen. And we got an indicator a month later that there was somebody interested, Fifth Third Bank. They're new into the Metro Atlanta market. That happened to be the president of Georgia Fifth Third Bank, happened to be, do a big deal at the University of Virginia for their new basketball arena. He had done a big deal, so he's very familiar with athletics. What was interesting about that is my mentor is the AD, Craig Littlepage, at Virginia, one of my mentors. I called him, another proof of relationships, right? So I called him and go, hey, what do you know about this guy? Oh man, you love that man. I mean, it's all relationship. I said, can you call him and tell him what I'm about and all this? We hit it off. 7 months. At the 7th month, and then we had a month to go before the Board of Regents was like, it's not gonna happen. We inked a deal. So I like to say that relationship was meant to be. And I'm a big believer, man. So I was like, somebody's taking care of this.